Settle.
All right,
It's
it's 5 o'clock, and I'm going to call the meeting to order.
Oh, yeah.
So, Laura Lee, would you call the roll, please?
Stu Boyd,
Here.
Denise Chapman,
Here.
Lori Goebel,
Here.
Don Kirk,
Here.
Alexander Lessel,
Here.
Nancy Rumpel,
Here.
Mike Schultz.
Here. All right.
Time like lights.
Nancy, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I thought I told you to be the flag of the United States
Of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Copies. It's funny.
Could I have a motion, please, to approve the agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Laura Lee, will you call the roll, please?
Stu Boyd,
Aye.
Denise Chapman,
Aye.
Lori Goebel,
Aye.
Don Kirk,
Aye.
Alexander Lessel,
Aye.
Nancy Rumpel,
Aye.
Mike Schultz.
Aye. All right. And so that motion passed 7-0. We'll move then to agenda item number 3, which is discussion items for upcoming board meetings. 3.1, the approval of the State of Colorado interest-free cash flow loan program resolution. And we'll turn it over to Mr. Ebersold.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. I'm Bob Ebersold, Chief Financial Officer. And what was sent to you is the same thing that is done each year. Traditionally, it's done in June, but the state was not ready to get the resolutions together for us. We were ready with the cash flow at that point. And so we aren't going to borrow until later in the year anyway, so August was going to be a fine time to come back to us. We're looking for authorization for up to $30 million. And that would cover the amount that we would need prior to the collection of property taxes. As we are in the 24 bills that is offset by the state revenue, as that goes up, we have a greater need for borrowing than in prior years. So therefore, that's why we're at 30 million at this point, based on the cash flow that we've talked to the state, and that's what they were authorized. For the full board meeting later this month, the actual resolution will have all the information on the resolution.
All right. Dawn, I'll begin with you. If you have any questions for Bob about this particular agenda item.
You just that every year. It's just the way that things line up. I thank you.
Denise?
No questions.
Nancy?
Shock. No.
What? Lori?
I believe I've expressed this before in the fact that, I'm grateful that we have that interest free loan. However, I know it does cost the taxpayers somewhere along the line, but that we can progress, take advantage of that for lack of a other way to phrase it.
All right, Mike?
So just out of curiosity, be quick, if we had to go take a loan and get a line of credit to cover our cash flow, what would we probably be at, 6 or 7%?
Good. I will get that calculation for what our cost would be for the next book page. 6% is probably.
All right, Mark, right? That's all I have.
You said you suspect it would be around 6%. Is that what you said?
We have a good rating at this point, but it would be interesting if we had to borrow. It actually might affect our rating because it goes into our total bond capacity. We have plenty of bond capacity borrowing, and that's not an issue, but it just, if you're not having to borrow, then they're happier with that.
Okay, thank you. Alexander, question?
No.
I don't have any questions either on that. So we will vote on this at the regular business meeting in 2 weeks. So Bob, let's move on to 3.2.
So under the board policy, when we dispose of surplus property over $10,000, it has to come to the board. And quite often we do small items, and that doesn't have to come to you. In this case, it's a surplus of lawn equipment, and we have an interested buyer that will take this as property that's no longer needed and doesn't fit the needs for our district.
All right. Anything else, Bob, before I ask the board for questions? Denise, we'll start with you.
So it's just the one piece of equipment.
That's correct.
Nancy?
I'm guessing the money will just go kind of jump.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Lloyd?
Just kind of wondering, who would procure something such as that? Is it like another school district possibly, or for a golf course? Or?
Usually be a landscape company. Quite often it might be the
That would make
little pot type one as opposed to one that has a large facility because they would usually buy new.
Mike, question about this?
Just a quick question. I mean, having experienced this a little bit, like I was always under the impression that we had to go through like a bid process, or that not say we, but that as a public body, there's some bid processes we have to follow.
There is a process. We actually put it out there and then it let people have a real
Like the
name of it. You have software that does it?
designate.
I know it's all right. Yeah, there is actually a process, but that we let it out and then because we've actually put things out before and nobody was interested. So there's a process by which procurement does a reverse procurement and it goes up.
Yeah, that's
It's
totally,
interesting.
totally fine. I mean, I'm not. I just wanted to ask about that.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a full official RFP process, but there is a process that we do to put it out to the public for the 9 years to film.
All right. Alexander, question about this one? Dawn, question? I also don't have a question on this. So we will see this again also at our regular business meeting in 2 weeks. So let's move to item 3.3, approval of bond project budget adjustment. We can hear from Mr. Placoni on this.
Good evening, Mr. President, Board of Education, Todd Tony, Assistant Superintendent Operations. Tonight for discussion is the use of bond premium for critical needs out in the general fund. So in the general fund, approved budget, typically there's $750,000 allocated to high priority maintenance projects. This year with likely budget reductions, there was taken out of the general fund. The proposal was to cover it out of the bond premium. This process was reviewed with CBOC, our Citizen Bond Oversight Committee, to ensure that what we're using it for is legally allowed and adheres to the bond language. So the approval is to move $750 out of the bond premium to a separate project code, which we'll do, that will track these projects for this coming year.
Okay. Nancy, we'll begin with you then with questions for this.
I don't really have a question other than, at the meeting for this, the discussion was really great from all of the committee members. They asked a lot of really good questions. They were like, well, we don't want the board to think or the district to think like the premium is just like a slush fund to be there. They were just really like, took it serious. So I thought it was overall a really good discussion, and so it's a really good board that's been put together. So whatever.
Lori?
No questions.
Mike?
No, I'm good.
Alexandra?
Can you just scroll down? I just can't remember. I think on the bottom it says what the
Projects are right. Doesn't it? Or maybe-
It has the overall budget from premium to the overall bucket of $750. It doesn't show each project now.
Oh, okay, sorry, that's what I was thinking of, that table stuff, it just says, okay. Can you give us an example of what some of these projects are?
Yeah, so for example, Garfield Elementary, the sewer lines broke, so they're out there like right now fixing the sewer line.
Oh, there.
Garfield Elementary.
Oh, I was
So
just
that's
reading
one
that.
that was like, how we got to now. There's a couple of rooftop units that need fixed. There's some infrastructure within IT that will need repaired and updated this next year. So, yeah, and what we told CBOC is that after this is complete, part of the process, okay, here's how the money, here's how it was spent, and here's to the bond language. But yeah, those are a couple of projects that are happening like right now.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else?
No. Thanks for
asking for this because I was trying to remember the numbers too. I guess my question is, given that we know that we have a much larger amount of high priority things that could be like the sewer line, where it might not be their urgent issue right now, but it could move up the line. Do we expect that we're gonna be doing this more than once this year? Probably.
With crystal ball.
Realistically?
I don't know, but yes, it happens no matter what it is. And that was a large conversation at CBOC is, okay, here's 750, what else is out there? Are you gonna come back next year or the year after? You know, we have to spend this bond premium within 3 years, so you have to make recommendations here pretty soon of what we're proposed to spend it. So some of those might be high maintenance needs.
That makes sense. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, but I would project, I think, as we work with Bob and his team, is 750 would fit into next year's, because Bob can talk about budget, but I assume that it's not going to be as good as it is this year, so this would always have to change well.
So this is the high point? This is as good as it gets?
So it's all designed with wood glass.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there as well, right? Because we know. Yeah. I mean, realistic. We've got a long list.
Yeah, there's the hundreds of million out there. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for narrowing it down to a bite-sized chunk.
All right. Denise?
Feel happy.
I also don't have any questions. Thank you, Todd. Board will move to agenda item 3.4, which are the standard action consent items. We received an email from Laura Lee this afternoon about a new donation that was not on the previous list. I didn't have time to actually look at it or think about it in any detail. I just noticed it. So let's see, Laurie, starting with you, do you have any questions or concerns about the action consent items?
No.
Mike, anything? Alexandra? Dawn? Denise? And Nancy? All right. I would ask whether I have a volunteer to read the donations at our business meeting in 2 weeks.
Oh, I haven't read one yet.
Okay. Then those are cloud. Okay. Agenda item number 4 is updates. Very quickly give you information on the legislative report. We talked about some of this yesterday at our retreat. As someone reported yesterday, it appears that the signature gatherers for Initiative 195 have gathered enough signatures for at least those signatures to need to be validated or authorized, and so that process is going on right now. Bob, do you have any idea how long that process will probably be for them to figure out if there are actually enough valid signatures to put this on the ballot?
I remember hearing it, but I think it's sometime in September.
Okay.
So you,
Kate? And I mentioned also yesterday, Initiative 175. I'll just read the paragraph that you received in your email. It provides funding for Colorado roads without new taxes and ensures revenue generated for roads must be spent on roads and not diverted to other purposes, including schools. They have submitted enough valid signatures. That measure will be on the ballot. Some of the additional information I received on that is that if the voters were to pass that, it could result in several $1 million reduction for money that currently could have gone to schools that was designated for roads and bridges and the state patrol and things like that, that were not allowable before. So this could be a very expensive ballot initiative for schools if it were to pass. Any questions on that? Laura, you're looking at me quizzically.
So this was, my understanding is this was money that the legislature had previously. It was supposed to be spent on roads.
Yes.
got Spent on other things, and now.
Some of
this
it
is-
has been spent on other things.
And this is a call by the voters, should it pass, for it to actually go where it was supposed to originally go.
Yes, this is money that has been available for a variety of purposes, even though it was designated for roads and bridges and the state patrol, and I think there are 3 or 4 other things. And so what the signature gatherers were seeking, and the signature gatherers were financed, I believe, by a contractor group, were to do just what you said, which is to guarantee that the money that's to be appropriated for roads and these other things that I mentioned could only be used for roads, and the money could not be taken from that fund and used for schools or Medicaid or some of the other things that it has been used for. So yes, you are correct.
So it was essentially a mistake on the legislature's part to expend this money in ways it should not have been.
I don't know if I would say it's a mistake. The legislature has been looking for money to fund schools in particular for a lot of years from a lot of different sources. So I don't think it was a mistake. I think it was an intentional movement of funds.
Okay.
So that one will be on the ballot. Proposition NN, which we had talked about before when it was Senate Bill 26-135, it will be on the ballot. And then probably, based on what Bob said, by our September business meeting, we should probably also know whether Initiative 195, which is also known as the graduated income tax measure, will also be on the ballot, but we don't know that yet.
Phase 2, it looks like, I just looked it up and it said by September 2nd.
Oh, by September 2nd, so we may know it by the study session then. Okay, thank you. Then the only other information that's on there, thought you might be interested in knowing which resolutions will definitely be presented at the CASB Delegate Assembly on September 12th, and I will read those to you because you've already received this. I will tell you, I'm not able to attend the Delegate Assembly this year, which is in Breckenridge, by the way. If you can attend, let me know, and we'll have Laura Lee register you for this, and I can fill you in on what happens at the Delegate Assembly. So if this is something that you're interested in and are available for that weekend, then let me know.
What was the date on that?
September 12th.
Is it just one day?
Yes, it's just one day, but because it's in Breckenridge and it starts early in the morning, it's a Saturday, I think. Yeah. So you'd probably go up on Friday, and I think you could probably come home Saturday. But let me know if you're interested. Then I'll contact Laura Lee and we'll get you registered. Okay? All right. Any further questions on that?
I have one
Yeah.
question. What has been the board practice in the past regarding taking positions on any of the ballot figures?
Dawn, you can help me with this. I think since you and I have been on the board since 2019, I don't recall that the board has taken a position on any ballot measures. Do you recall? And for
I
those of
think
you who
we
came on
did.
since then, you can enter this too.
I'm fairly sure we did. I couldn't tell you what the language was, but I think that we did have something that was drafted that was a resolution. Or several of them that would say like the reason that we're supporting this and want the public to know we support it is because this is what it would mean to Thompson. I don't remember when the last time we did it was.
Hasn't been since I've been.
I was just curious.
It's a very good question, and kind of a follow-up question might be, could we? And the answer is yes, we could.
I just, not that I think our position would sway the voters either way, but I do, being on the record, I think something we might want to consider.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are people who see that this impacts school funding, and we're the most likely source for local people to say, well, what does that really mean for you? I think yesterday it came up multiple times that both of these funding sources together might cover what we expect to be the deficit this year, or the next year, I should say. And that's without factoring in steps and Collinsville raises. And so I do think that that information might be something that people want to hear closer to the election, have something official that they can reference back to. So it may help us all not field so many individual questions.
Maybe a suggestion for a future agenda.
Correct.
To that and just know
knowing
it.
that.
Bring it up.
Yeah.
Information for it out.
Thing.
I'm thinking too, since we're still talking about the legislative report, see what you think about this. Laura, do you know right offhand what the date is for our September study session?
September 5th, I mean.
September 5th. Laura said that the validation or the authorization of the signature should be done by September 2nd.
It is the second.
It's the second, sorry.
Voting is the same, but
It's the same?
it's the same day.
Yep, sorry.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we get it, it'll be hung off the presses.
Yeah. So I don't know if the suggestion I was going to make is probably a good one for September, probably something we can certainly look at in October. So if Initiative 195 makes the ballot, and we already know that Proposition NN will be on the ballot, there are those who are concerned that these two ballot measures, both of which deal with funding K-12 education in Colorado, could work against each other, and there are those who believe that they might both fail because both of them are on the ballot. So if 195 does indeed make the ballot, what would you think for our October study session if we asked somebody, and maybe that somebody would be Bob, and if not Bob, someone else, to explain the differences between NN and 195, what each would bring to K-12 education in Colorado? Does that sound like something that the board might be interested in hearing? Yes?
And is NN the Tabor one, and 195 is the progressive?
Yeah. 195 is the graduated income tax or the progressive income tax, and NN is the one that actually affects Tabor. And one of the sentences that I put in your legislative report is it's projected to reduce the Tabor refund of a taxpayer who makes $100,000 a year in 2027 by $28 and a couple $56 for that particular year. So it might just be interesting if both of these make the ballot for us to receive some information in addition to what I would bring from the CASB Legislative Committee and increase our information and increase our knowledge. Okay. Yeah, so we'll think about doing that. All right. Mr. Scholl, do we have anything for 4.2, which is an update from the Loveland Urban Renewal Authority?
No, not at this time. They moved to a quarterly meeting schedule, so the next meeting I'm anticipating is September, I believe. So I'll see to what's on, anticipate what's on the agenda, but no, at this time there's
All right. So moving then to item number 5, study session discussion items. There are no study session discussion items for this evening. Number 6, future topic items for board consideration. We talked about this yesterday at our retreat. So if there are particular topics that you would like for the board to consider, now is the time to express your thoughts.
Do you want to go on?
We can just go around, I think. Mike, should we start with you?
I don't have anything.
Alexandra?
I would like an update or information on the READ Act, how it's implemented and done, and what we're just. I'd like more clarity on that and more information about that. Lizzie?
All right. Dawn?
I have one that's a follow-on from some of our conversations yesterday. I think that there were 2 kind of complementary things that were discussed that were incredibly positive as far as the culture and progress that we want to make for the strategic plan, as well as really thinking about how are we approaching the ADA work that needs to be done in the district. And I was very, very excited to hear the thinking around that, and how a lot of things are built in around just walking the talk and talking the walk. And with that said, I think that there are some things that we as a board need to do to be also in alignment with walking the walk and talking the talk. Specifically, I have shared and been vulnerable over the years around the fact that I have a disability, and I have asked in subtle ways for that to be accommodated, but minimally. And for I don't even know how many times over the last few years, I had no sleep last night, even though we did some really great, we had a great meeting, a great retreat. I think we covered a lot of ground. I think we had some good discussions. All of that wasn't enough to make up for the fact that I've been singled out for behavior that is normal for everyone. Multiple times yesterday it happened, and it's frustrating. I often with these things, I'm more concerned about what it means to other people. We are in a position of power and authority. We're making decisions as a collective, and as individuals, our voice is just part of that. But when we are not culturally responsive, even to each other, people notice that, right? We're being recorded and broadcasted, shared. People listen to our words, not just our decisions. And I just, I had to align with why I'm here and my purpose. And frankly, my purpose has a lot to do with being here because of how my family and other families have struggled to get our needs met that are mandated. That's what brought me here. Our story of what that meant and how much harm was done when some of these things were done poorly is significant, and it's what keeps me here even when I feel disrespected and targeted for behaviors that are normal for everybody else. Those behaviors continued for everybody else even after I stopped engaging the casual back and forth that we had yesterday. And So I would really like for us to figure out how we're gonna show the community as a body with more than just our votes, day in and day out, as we make decisions. How are we gonna show that we are aware of how to treat different people? And so I would like to see us spend some time on that.
All right. Anything else? Denise, moving on to you.
We don't have anything at this time.
All right, Nancy?
Actually, I was gonna bring up the READ Act because I've requested it multiple years and
Yeah.
there's just, so anyway, I guess I would just piggyback on the same thing, that the READ Act, how do we come up with the grant requests? Where does that money really go? How do we really track the students? What's their needs? That kind of stuff. So, must have been money. Must have been.
All right. Anything else, Nancy? Lori?
Something that I would like for us to consider is, while I think it's great when we are able to have a roundtable discussion. However, I've heard from several people how hard it is for them to hear the audio and also to be able to distinguish who is speaking at any given time. I guess it would be something that we should, possibly look at, because I know we talked about several times yesterday about transparency and communication and making sure that we're communicating, and if people can't tell who's making the comment or hear what's being said, especially at the schools, because when we get into the schools, the blowers coming on, even when you're in the room. I know when I attended prior to being on the board, it was extremely hard at several of the locations to even hear what the board was saying. And, but I would like for that to be maybe something that we consider about possibly having the study sessions maybe moved back here. I understand that, going to the schools to see the kids, but a lot of times even on the videos, it's looking at somebody's back while the kids are performing or giving their presentation. And so I think we're not as thoughtful about, maybe we need to do it just something differently or at least talk about that. And then the other thing too is just about having that a private survey so that we can hopefully not have to have future consolidation discussions and find out with road racing for what's going on and be able to address concerns that parents have for choosing other education options.
Give me just a second because I'm taking notes. All right. Anything else? I don't have anything in particular. All right. So I wrote down the 4 things that were mentioned. Laura Lee, I'm sure, has them as well. We'll discuss these with Dr. Heller and see where we go with this, whether some of these might be topics for 2+2s or whether this would be study session topics or what would be the best way to investigate. All right. There are no other items on the agenda. So with no further business, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.